Few things are more spectacular or more iconic Americana than the intimidating profile of a huge bison bull. An ultimate symbol of wilderness, in this case, living in Yellowstone, the oldest national park in the world. Follow the story of one bison, or the story of a species, and you have an epic drama. A battle against the odds. A fight for survival. The buffalo's story is one that shaped the identity of a continent and changed the way we protect wildlife. And it all starts with the birth of an American icon. Yellowstone smolders in the late summer sun. Not smoke from the famous volcanic geysers, but from another mighty, almost legendary hero of the plains. For a bison bull, success is measured in bloodline. To leave a legacy, a bull must make a stand, proving himself on the battleground. This colossal male is ready for a showdown to lay claim to the herd. His whole life has been preparing him for this. But is he ready to take on the champ? This defining moment has not happened by chance. It's the culmination of 6 years of life. And if we wanted to imagine how his epic story unfolded, we could rewind to the day of his birth. Though bison bulls, or buffalo as they are known in the States, tend to steal the show, the success of bison herds rests squarely on the shoulders of the females. For most of the year, the bulls live apart, and the cows have a society based on female leadership. But this female seeking solitude. Her waters have broken. A new chapter in the bison saga is about to begin. Like a human mother, she's carried her baby for 9 months, nourishing it from her own body, even through the hardships of winter. Her efforts rewarded with a baby boy. Mum's exhausted, but her work's not done. The first tender moments are vital. Mother and calf bond to each other's smell and sounds, the glue that will keep them together. There's a more pressing reason to clean up. The afterbirth could betray the baby's presence. Though this time, she might be too late. The sensitive and ever-alert nose of a coyote has locked on to the scent. The wild dogs often trail the herds in search of opportunity. Not all calves or mothers will survive the birth. Potential opportunity for wily coyote. But the coyote is wily enough to know it's not worth messing with a healthy adult bison. Especially a fiery mum. Bison are among the best mothers, raising an incredible 80% of calves to weaning. As if prompted by the threat, the rubbery young male tries out his legs. This powerful instinct to rise is vital. He's been born to a tribe of nomads, forever on the move. If he doesn't quickly get to his feet, he'll be left behind. Plus, he lives in a land teeming with predators. Running will be a way of life. Managing to stand brings instant reward. His first meal. He'll have milk on tap for 7 months to help him beef up. He must increase his weight 6 times over to survive his first winter. Family planning means little ones are arriving in synchrony all over the prairie. As the babies dry, they reveal bright ginger birthday suits. Rusty-colored bison calves are nicknamed red dogs for this fine, fiery fleece. The little bull's nursery was also the birthplace of something else, of a bold concept, the first major act by humans to preserve nature. This is Yellowstone National Park. As the first Europeans traversed the continent, mythical tales arose of bubbling mud, sulfurous rocks, and fountains of steam. Once the natural wonder had been documented, there were calls to protect it and set it aside as a giant playground for recreation. Congress gave it national park status in 1872, the first official national park in the world. It remains one of the biggest and most treasured. The park was set up mostly to preserve the landscape, but still, it gave sanctuary to the last bison. And in this sanctuary, the young bull's next adventures are getting underway. It's time for him to meet the family. Everyone wants to check out baby, but mum's still a little overprotective. In the throng, it would be easy to get lost. But each other's scent and sounds are deeply ingrained. The pair will be safer from predators here. And it's a chance for the little guy to make friends. Bison groups have hierarchies formed early on in life. These playdates will help determine his place in the herd. All too soon, playtime is over. The herd is on the move. The backdrop to their trek, Yellowstone, is dotted with promising signs of spring. the first flowers, and a choir of songbirds. Another icon of the park joins the buffalo. Sometimes called wapiti elk are huge deer that share the bison's range. A few hardy individuals spent winter in the park, but most moved to lower elevations. Now they're back, and a full 20,000 roam the plains. Like the buffalo, using the sage scrub to hide their lanky calves. The abundance of life is clear as the last traces of winter melt away. Because of its high altitude, on average 2,400 meters above sea level, much of the park's water comes in frozen form. The snow and ice melt sends torrents that will nurture plants and feed some of the nation's great rivers. But what's good for the land is a problem for the young calf. Several major rivers snake across Yellowstone, and of course, the grass is always greener on the other side. River crossings are a challenge, but at this time of year, the threat ramps up. The wizened old matriarch cautiously leads the way, using years of experience to try and find the safest path. Even the biggest bison struggle with the current. But the matriarch makes it safely across, encouraging the rest to follow. Weaker, younger animals are swept further by the current. The familiar banks the herd is used to have been washed away this spring, and scattered, they must face steep, muddy banks. Seeing the chaos, the young bull is understandably hesitant. But in Yellowstone, there is no easy option. He has to face his fears, and the stakes are about to get higher. A patrolling predator detects the panicked calls of distant bison and follows them upriver. Bison and wolves are ancient adversaries. But usually, the dogs hunt in well-organized packs. A lone wolf doesn't stand much chance, unless a bison is compromised. The perfect reason to monitor the dangerous crossing. Time to take the plunge. This is the first time the calf has seen a river, let alone confront its power. Even with instinct-driven, rudimentary swimming skills, he keeps his head above water, and the pair drift past the disappointed wolf. But once they reach the deeper water, even the calf's mother can't fight the force. With the wolf eyeing them, the last herd members pile in. Mothers turn, using their bodies like dams, trying to create calmer waters for their little ones. It helps, until they too are swept away. Gradually, they inch their way across. apart from the young bull. His breathing is labored as the freezing water saps his strength. The water shallows out, giving his mother a chance to escape the turmoil. But despite her exhaustion, her only thought is finding her little boy. And nature throws him a lifeline, a current pushing the youngster against the bank. It was a baptism of fire, but his spirits are not dampened. He's desperate for calories. But he's not the only one dining on the riverbank. Bears are the biggest land carnivores, and with appetites to match. It's rare for grizzly bears to kill bison, but calves are a much easier proposition. Against a giant predator, the bison's best line of defense is safety in numbers. But the river has taken them far from this security. Bison are speedy, capable of sprinting past a horse rider at more than 50 kilometers per hour. Back into the herd. The herd settles down, moving onto the plains, not noticing at first that the bear is still following. But this time, they don't run. The calves stay at the back, but the bigger animals move to the front line and cautiously advance on the huge bear. Knowing they have gained the upper hand, they move like an approaching army, calling the enemy's bluff. The angry lineup is an intimidating sight, even to a grizzly. Eventually, his nerves break. A wise retreat. Teamwork, a bison speciality. The cows begin their daily routine, a gentle trek, nibbling as they go. Each must consume 2% of its body weight a day, which can require up to 11 hours with heads down. The rest of the time, they chew the cud, bringing the food back up and chewing it again to have a second go at extracting nutrients from tough grass. Plodding lawnmowers don't seem very dynamic, but they're the cornerstone of life on the plains. Some benefits are obvious. Birds flock to the herds, picking bugs from the bison's bodies, or enjoying the flies seeking out their dung. In spring, the bison calf can enjoy a chorus of love songs from the breeding birds. Most are small and colourful plains dwellers, but there are bigger visitors. Swainson's hawks escort the grazing bison, knowing as they bulldoze along, grasshoppers and other insects will be disturbed. Fast food. Bison increase the variety of plants by trimming the lawn. And all the food that goes in must also come out. Poop ain't pretty, but for thousands of years it has fueled life on the prairies. Every day, each behemoth deposits 10 litres of dung and half a litre of urine, fertilizing the soil with rich concentrations of minerals. The young male joins in, doing his bit for the environment. The bison shaped the prairie, and the prairie shaped the bison. Both are integral to one another's health. Pronghorns, another prairie specialist, forage alongside. These antelope lookalikes are unique to the American West. With birds mingling and elk nearby, Yellowstone provides a romantic idyll. And that is the Wild West described by the pioneer explorers, trappers and settlers, a bountiful land preserved forever in Yellowstone. The home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and antelope play. But this romantic vision of the prairie was not to last. When early European explorers arrived, there were bison as far as the eye could see. Up to 70 million bison. One of the biggest concentrations of large animals on the planet. European settlers saw bison and the rest of the abundant wildlife as limitless resources ripe for the taking. They were looking to build homesteads and convert the plains to farmland. And the bison stood in their way. But so did the Native Americans. The native people were dependent on bison. Getting rid of their food would help get rid of them. And so began a systematic eradication, hell-bent on removing the icon of the plains, and an icon of a newly emerging nation. By the turn of the century, American bison were all but gone. But the plight did not go unnoticed. In the early 1900s, the concept of conservation was born. People could see a bleak and denuded future and wanted to prevent it, to secure a better world for new generations. It saw not only Yellowstone, but the bison protected forever. With their indomitable spirit, the Buffalo Nation bounced back. And from their survivors, our little calf's bloodline was born. But even for him, in protected national parks, life is far from a peaceful idyll, especially with another prairie survivor around. Few animals have such a close tie to bison as wolves. They live throughout the park, and now the young bull and his herd have wandered into the gaze of an entire pack. They casually swagger in, wanting to spook the herd and break it up, scanning for young or injured individuals. But the bison know the routine as well as the wolves do. They close rank, the younger calves shielded in the center of the group. A standoff, until they spot a straggler. Ignoring the herd, there is one female they have singled out. With the pack distracted, others dash for higher ground, including the calf. He's panicked, but staying in the center of the group is his best bet. His mother and the other adults do their best to keep the threat at bay. While some of the pack harass the calves, the rest are closing in on the lone female. The reason she was separate is now clear. She'd given birth, a late-season calf. But despite her valiant defense, they have already taken her newborn. She's reluctant to leave, but the wolves know she's weakened by the birth. They will not stop until they also bring her down. These interactions happen daily. Sometimes the bison lose a herd member. Other times, the wolves go hungry. Wolf kills help thin out the bison herds and reduce grazing pressure on the landscape, benefiting all life. While they're busy, the bison matriarch wisely moves the herd on. Though there is another potentially dangerous barrier in their way. Roads crisscross the park. Some are highways, but most just enable visitors to enjoy the natural spectacle of Yellowstone. And few sights cause more excitement than the American icons. Traveling through the national park can be slow going because of these buffalo jams. The calf is fascinated by the strange two-legged creatures, who seem just as fascinated by him. They don't want to chase him or hunt him, just stare. It's something he'll need to get used to. More than 4 million tourists flock to Yellowstone every year to marvel at this most treasured national park. But the bison don't really get what all the fuss is about and carry on their way. So far, the calf's life has centered around the protective female herd. Bison bulls have been absent, living in male-only groups. But as summer progresses, they must answer to an inner voice. A deep running instinct guiding them back to the female herds. The giants stomp around, sizing each other up. To keep competition at bay, the big bulls use intimidation tactics, and sometimes even combat. Inspired by the giants, the calf and his friends want to play at being grown-ups. Another chance for him to get to know the strength and fighting skills of his companions. Soon, the biggest bulls are selecting potential mates, and this one's eyeing the calf's mother. He guards her to keep other males at bay. He repeatedly sniffs her pee. He's running a chemical test, using an organ in the roof of his mouth to sample her hormone levels, trying to work out when she is fertile and ready to mate. She likes him, so braces herself ready to support his colossal bulk. Now mated, she can steer clear of the bulls as they battle it out over the rest of the herd. During this time, the calf himself is undergoing changes, his iconic shoulder hump becoming more obvious, and his red dog coat molting, being replaced with bison brown. He's been nibbling vegetation from an early age, but now he's having solid food as much as milk, which is vital. Now that Mum is pregnant, she won't be able to produce milk for much longer. Both must graze and put on weight, because winter is coming. At Yellowstone's high altitudes, winters arrive overnight. Now the bull faces hardships unlike any he has seen before. Temperatures are routinely -20 and can plunge to -50. Snow blankets the park. Each year, close to 4 meters falls. Many bison migrate out of the park, seeking lower elevations, But some, like the calf's herd, stick it out. Bison are remarkably tough, thanks to some extraordinary adaptations. Their fur is very thick, with 10 times more hairs per centimeter than any other cattle. It's so good at retaining the bison's body heat that snow can sit on the young bull's coat without melting. And in Yellowstone, the bison have a surprising and slightly terrifying ally. A sinister serpent slithers under Yellowstone, a river of magma or molten rock. The entire park is a cauldron, the heart of a giant volcano. It could erupt at any time, and if it does, it will not only destroy Yellowstone, but most of North America, and change environmental conditions all over the world. But now, while the giant dragon sleeps, its gentle breathing pushes heat to the surface. It fuels the park's famous hot springs and geysers. It also means the ground surface in places is kept warm. The only place bison can find food year-round, but it's a mixed blessing. You could consider it a poison chalice, as the hot springs bubble too much fluoride into the water and spit silica that coats the plants. It's like having ground glass in your salad. Bison here have shorter lives because the silica wears away their teeth. Any that survive winters and predators are less likely to die of old age than starvation, because they can no longer feed. But eventually, the sun warms the plains, and the bison calf, now barely recognizable from the red dog of last year. He's no longer tied to his mother. She has a new calf and new priorities, but he does still move with the female herd. It's the same routine, though this year he's much more competent when it's time for river crossings. And faster to react when he spots a threat. Herd life follows the same patterns. The seasons come and go, and he grows in size, strength, and wisdom. It's not until his third year that things really change. Now the females in the herd are much less tolerant of his increasingly boisterous behavior. It's time to go. He's not the only one being pushed out of the nest. The other males his age are also being invited to leave. It's different, but the life of a bachelor isn't so bad. the bulls enjoy more freedom and independence. A buffalo frat party. When push comes to shove, these bros have each other's backs. Ever present, wolves are still a constant in the bull's life. But today, too engrossed in a bachelor party, he's been caught off guard. The pack has already executed a battle plan. Mobilized, they have spread out around the young bulls. They goad the bison, encouraging them to flee and expose their more vulnerable flanks, or separate from each other. Though the young bull and his friends have seen many wolf attacks, this is the first time they've had to face one alone. They're nervous, and the wolves can sense it. Frightened, the circling bulls make a mistake, turning in opposite directions. The second there's a gap between them, the wolves claim it, breaching the herd defenses. Our bull is on his own. He swings, trying to warn the wolves off with his now quite large horns. But there are too many, spreading out around him. Did he jump too hard and sprain his wrist? A limp makes him even more of a target. A friend, also with an injured leg, comes to the rescue. The true buffalo herd spirit. Despite their handicaps, ready to stand up for their bros. It's a good defense, but wolves are masters of patience, willing to wait until one of them falters. But this time, calls of distress are answered, and the cavalry arrive. They force the wolves to retreat and usher the injured young bulls back into the safety of the gang. There's no doubt the young bull is part of the men's club now. His leg recovers quickly, though his mind's soon taken off it as the rut begins. This time he can't take his eyes off the event. He still only has half the mass of the giants, but seems to toy with the idea of joining in. Like teenagers hanging out, the youngsters watch the boss strutting his stuff. Common sense keeps him out of trouble, but he uses his pals to test his ideas. This way, the young bulls can go through the motions, test each other's strengths, and learn the rituals behind what will become the most important behaviors in their lives. As it has for millennia, the seasons change, the wolves come and go, and the bulls practice their battle skills as the planet completes 3 more journeys around the sun. Now to the present. Aged 6. Things are a bit different for the bull. A towering shoulder 2 meters high, huge horns spanning almost a meter, his massive body weighing well over a ton. He's prime beef and ready to tear up some turf. Each year, he's practiced the routine and struts like a pro. He needs to get himself noticed and start sending up smoke signals. The wallowing, head rubbing, bellowing, get the bull charged up. Signals of building aggression. He's looking for a fight. During the rut, the stakes are high. There's only a limited window to father next year's calves. The stress can cause bulls to lose 12% of their body weight during the tournament. And there's a risk of injury or even death. An older bull holds court. He runs the other bulls out of town before they get a chance with the girls. Until our prime bull, the sexy 6-year-old, strides into town, the John Wayne of the prairie. He's ready to make a stand. With a thick skull and a shock-absorbing tangle of hair, he's not afraid to go head-to-head. Victory. There's a new sheriff in town. But This is just the beginning of a long season. He starts guarding a female from the posse until she's ready to mate. The fact that he was born early in that cold spring 6 years ago means the bull's especially large and strong. It's likely he'll have his pick of the cows this season. Today, the future of bison remains hanging in the balance. But the fact that the species was pulled back from the brink is often hailed as the greatest conservation success story. The American buffalo has become a symbol of human failure and success. And perhaps an icon for healing our planet. And after years of growing and learning, our bull is playing his part in bison legacy too. An enduring symbol for a nation and for conservation, a true American icon.